What if you were born a peasant in ancient China and became emperor? Imagine opening your eyes for the first time in a world where your family owns almost nothing. No house of stone, no education, no soldiers, no title, no money. You are not born into a famous clan, not the son of a general, not destined for greatness. You are born in a small farming village during the final years of the Qin Empire, and from the moment you enter this world, your future has already been decided for you. You will work, you will pay taxes, you will obey orders, and if the empire demands your body for labor or war, you will go. You do not know it yet, but within a few decades, you will witness the collapse of one of the most powerful states in ancient China. You will survive famine, run from soldiers, fight in battles, command men, and eventually stand inside a palace while hundreds of officials kneel before you. You will become an emperor, but first, you have to survive being a peasant. You are born in a small village, surrounded by fields of wheat and millet. Your family lives in a simple house, made from packed earth and wood. When the wind blows hard, dust slips through the walls. When the rain comes, the roof leaks. Your mother spends most of her day working, and your father spends even more. There are no weekends, no holidays, there is only the next meal. As a child, you learn very early that food has value. A bowl of grain is not just food, it is another day of life. You watch your mother measure every handful carefully, and you watch your father inspect the crops as if he is examining a wounded soldier. If the harvest is good, your family survives. If the harvest is poor, everyone suffers. By the time you are 7, you are already useful. You carry water, gather firewood, help in the fields, and your hands become rough before you are old enough to understand why. There is no school waiting for you, no books. You learn by watching, learn from the seasons, learn from hunger, and you learn one lesson faster than any other. The world does not care how tired you are. Outside your village, something much larger is happening. The Qin Empire rules a huge territory, equipped with powerful armies, wide roads, strict laws, heavy taxes, numerous officials, and a government that interferes deeply with ordinary people's daily lives. The empire looks enormous, but enormous things can still crack. And the people bearing the weight of this empire are people just like you, farmers, laborers, soldiers, families who do not have enough grain, but are still forced to hand over more. You begin hearing stories from traveling strangers, men dragged away to distant construction projects, families torn apart as fathers are conscripted into military service, villages punished harsh life for failing to pay taxes on time. You only listen quietly because speaking too loudly about these sufferings can bring you danger. Then one summer your own family experiences the truth behind those tales. Local government officers arrive in your village carrying registration lists, and your father's name is written on one of them. He is ordered to leave for forced labor, with no room for refusal. You stand outside your ear then, home, and watch him get ready. Your mother barely says a word, and your father casts one last glance at you before walking away. You have no idea when he will come back, and you are too young to realize he may never return at all. Weeks stretch into months, and your father never reappears. Your mother toils endlessly each day, and you take on even more work. This is your first true understanding of power. Power is not always a sharp sword. Sometimes power is simply the authority to command someone to leave their home, and you realize you possess none of it. Then the harvest fails completely. The farmland dries up, and the grain grown is thin and scarce. Villagers start counting every last bit of food they own. At first, every household cuts down their meals. Then people begin selling all their valuables. Livestock vanish one after another. And finally villagers themselves start disappearing. You watch neighbors sneak out of the village under the cover of night. No one knows their destination. They only know they cannot stay any longer. Your mother cooks thinner and thinner porridge each day, until she can no longer pretend there is sufficient food for the family. You are old enough now to feel genuine fear. You stare at the empty grain jar, then look at your exhausted mother, and understand that staying here will mean starving to death. Soon rumors spread across the land. Rebellions have broken out elsewhere. Masses of people have risen up to resist Qin rule. More villages join the uprising. Troops are on the move, and the roads have become perilous. The empire that once seemed unshakable is beginning to crumble. In a world falling apart, all old rules lose their meaning. Suddenly, a poor farmer can turn into a soldier. A forced laborer can become a rebel, and a nobody can grow into a leader. Not because the world has grown fairer, but because the old order is collapsing entirely. You make the decision to flee. You set off at night alongside other young men from the village, carrying almost no belongings. Your feet ache terribly, your stomach twists with hunger, and terror fills your heart. Behind you lies the simple life you have always known, while ahead stretches a war you cannot comprehend. Eventually you locate a rebel army camp. They do not ask about your education or family background. They only pose one single question. Can you fight? You answer yes, and a rough, unrefined weapon is placed into your hands. It is not the fine gear carried by wealthy noble warriors, yet gripping it fills you with a feeling you have never experienced before. Control. For the first time in your life, the object in your grasp holds the power to strike back at the cruel world, instead of only enduring its oppression. Soon your first battle arrives, and the battlefield descends into total chaos. Men roar, horses scream, thick dust chokes the air, and you can barely grasp what is unfolding around you. You watch one warrior fall, then another. Strangers shove past your shoulders. Wounded men cry out for help. Every instinct in your body urges you to run, yet there is nowhere to escape. So you press forward, and you survive. After the battle, you are no longer the same boy you once were. You have witnessed war's true face. It holds no glory, only deafening noise, overwhelming confusion, endless fear, and the dreadful certainty that the comrade standing beside you at dawn may lie dead before sunset. But you lived through it, and survival teaches you a vital truth. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Sometimes courage simply means feeling terrified yet moving forward regardless. The war drags on, with battle following battle without pause. Gradually you learn the art of combat. You observe seasoned veterans, learn to read terrain, spot ambushes, judge the right moment to attack and when to retreat. Most crucially, you study how people act under extreme pressure. Some rise as heroes, some turn into cowards, some grow cruel, and some emerge as natural leaders. Slowly, your fellow fighters begin to trust you. You are neither the strongest nor the oldest in the army, yet you stay calm when disasters strike. You start leading small squads of men. 10 men grow to 20, then 50, then more. The first time a soldier addresses you as commander, you almost laugh out loud, remembering the barefoot child who once hauled buckets of water across a destitute village. Now grown men wait to follow your orders, yet holding power feels far different from what you imagined. At first it tastes like freedom, but you soon discover its heavy cost. Your soldiers need food, weapons, and strict discipline, and maintaining discipline sometimes demands harsh punishment. One of your subordinates steals food from innocent villagers, forcing you to make an agonizing choice: protect your soldier or defend the civilian population. You sentence him to execution, and the whole troop watches the punishment unfold. That night you cannot fall asleep. Something fundamental has shifted within you. You are no longer merely enduring history. You are starting to shape it with your own hands. Meanwhile, the Qin Empire keeps collapsing bit by bit. The regime that once seemed unstoppable rapidly loses control. Cities fall, imperial armies disintegrate. Regional warlords rise up one after another. Before long, people no longer debate whether the Qin will survive. The central question becomes who will govern the new world left in its ruins. You hear the names of powerful figures circulating through the camps: Shang Yu, Liu Bang, all great generals, kings and rebel leaders, each chasing different desires. Some crave revenge, some covet land, some chase fame, others hunger for absolute power. At first your own wish is far simpler. You only want to stay alive, or so you tell yourself. Over time, you realize mere survival is no longer enough. You hope your people will never go hungry, your family will live safely, and you will never have to kneel before another ruler ever again. Little by little, this quiet longing evolves into greater ambition. As conflicts between competing warlords intensify, you pick a side and ally yourself with forces loyal to Liu Bang. He is not the fiercest warrior alive, nor does he possess Shang Yu's terrifying reputation. Yet he understands ordinary people deeply. He knows armies are built not just on weapons, but on loyalty. You fight alongside men who were once peasants just like you, people who once owned nothing and now stand to lose everything. Your army expands steadily, and your victories pile up one after another. Then an unbelievable day arrives. Your troops seize a city. The city gates swing open. Your soldiers march down the streets, and townsfolk line the roadside to watch. Some trembling with fear, some filled with curiosity, others bowing their heads low. You ride through the city on horseback and grasp that you now command forces far greater than yourself. Vast stretches of land, thousands of common people, grain reserves, armies, and the right to collect taxes and issue official orders. Once you cowered in fear when government officials visited your village. Now you have become the one who say ND's decrees out to villages across the region, stepping fully into the realm of power. This world of authority is endlessly dangerous. Everyone surrounding you harbors their own demands. Generals beg for more troops. Nobles seek extra land. Local magistrates plead for protection. Rivals plot to seize your position. Allies crave greater influence. Enemies want you dead. And even your allies may hope to weaken your standing. You start sleeping far less, constantly asking yourself, who can you truly trust? Who is hiding lies? Who waits for a chance to betray you? And who covets your rank? The higher you climb, the more perilous the ground beneath your feet becomes. Betrayal strikes next. One of your trusted commander's secret line negotiates a deal with Araval warlord, but you uncover his plot before he can carry it out. You summon him to your tent, and he swears he is innocent. Yet you already know every word he speaks is ally. Years earlier, you might have chosen to trust him, but power has taught you a hard lesson. Trust is a precious rarity, yet constant suspicion keeps rulers alive. You strip him of his command, and his followers vanish without a trace. For the first time, you recognize that the deadliest threat is not always the enemy army lined up on the battlefield. Sometimes it is the man standing beside you. The scale of war continues to grow, and your name spreads across the land. In some regions, locals hail you as a hero. In others, they brand you a tyrant. You stop caring which label people assign you, knowing history rarely holds simple black and white judgments. To win wars, you must make choices. Innocent civilians will hate. To uphold order, you must sometimes act ruthlessly. To defeat foes, you must destroy everything standing between you and victory. Every victory leaves ruin in its wake. Burned villages, grieving families, young soldiers who will never return to their homes. The more power you accumulate, the heavier its burden grows. The final decisive struggle arrives. The old Qin Empire has vanished entirely, and the remaining warring factions clash to decide the future of the realm. The battlefield stretches for miles. Thousands of soldiers stand beneath your banners, and as you overlook your army, you recall the impoverished child you once were. Once you only wished for a full bowl of grain, now you prepare to determine the fate of an entire kingdom. The night before the great battle, sleep eludes you. You sit beside a spread-out map, as oil lamps flicker dimly, while all your men wait outside for your commands. You trace your hand across the drawn territories, knowing this is the defining moment. By dawn tomorrow, you could become one of the most powerful men in the realm, or perish on the battlefield and fade into obscurity. At sunrise, war drums thunder, and your troops march forward. The battlefield erupts into a storm of combat. Arrows fill the sky. Cavalry charges crash into infantry lines. Dust billows so high it blots out the sun. You issue orders, deploy reserve units, send regiments to reinforce weak points, and watch enemy formations collapse one after another. Hours pass. and the opposing army begins a full retreat. You understand what has happened. You have won. For years you fought solely to stay alive. Now you have helped lead the faction, destined to rule the new dynasty. Yet one vital step still remains: claiming the imperial throne. The coronation ceremony surpasses anything you could ever imagine. You walk into the grand imperial court, lined with rows of waiting officials. Beneath towering architecture, the vast hall falls into complete silence. The stone floor under your feet polished smooth, and you wear garments you once thought unattainable. Embroidered silk, carved jade, gleaming gold, all sacred symbols of supreme authority. You step forward, and every single person kneels before you. Civil officials, military generals, palace servants, warriors who once commanded legions, men who once held the power to crush, peasants like your younger self. Now they bow their heads low in submission to you. You take your seat on the throne, and for a fleeting instant, your mind drifts back to your childhood village. The dirt floor, the leaky thatched roof, your mother's worn hands, your father's quiet departure, the empty grain jar, the first crude weapon you clutched, your first terrifying battle, the first city you conquered. Every hardship and struggle has led you to this moment. A peasant risen to emperor. You have reached the highest position in all the land. Yet a strange emptiness settles in your heart. You once believed the throne would grant perfect freedom, but instead, it drowns you under endless responsibility. Your days as emperor begin long before sunrise. Every morning reports arrive at the palace. Rebellions, famine, border wars, corrupt officials, and political conspiracies. You once believed power would erase fear, but it only changes what you fear. As a peasant you feared hunger. As a soldier you feared death. Now as emperor you fear betrayal and losing everything you built. You possess wealth and power beyond your childhood dreams. Yet you sleep less than ever before. Everyone bows before you, but few dare speak the truth. Years pass and your empire grows stronger. Roads expand, taxes are organized, officials govern distant lands, armies protect the borders. Your name enters history, but inside the palace, time moves differently. Old friends disappear, veteran generals die, even your own family begins fighting for the throne. You finally understand, the throne does not belong to the person sitting on it. It belongs to whoever can keep control. Looking back, you see your entire journey. You began as a hungry child searching for food, became a young man chasing freedom, a soldier fighting to survive, a commander seeking victory, and finally, an emperor carrying the weight of an empire. Every ambition you achieved created a greater one. This is the tragedy of ambition. It promises freedom, but at the top, there is nowhere left to climb. Now you are old, your hair is gray, your hands no longer belong to the warrior who once carried a weapon. One evening, you return to the village where you were born. The village has changed. Nobody recognizes you. Standing among the fields, memories return. Carrying water as a child, watching your mother measure grain, waiting for your father, and surviving hunger and fear. For a moment you are no longer the emperor. You are only the child who once wanted to live. You realize the most important moment of your life was not your coronation, not your greatest victory, not sitting upon the throne. It was the moment you decided never to surrender. Everything after that came from that single choice. You return to the palace. Officials still kneel. The empire still obeys. Yet you finally understand the truth of power. The greatest throne in the world is still only a care. It cannot bring back those you lost. It cannot restore your childhood. It cannot return the years taken by war and responsibility. You entered this world with nothing. You fought to survive. You conquered to gain freedom. You ruled an empire to control your destiny. But becoming emperor did not free you. It only gave you a heavier burden. If you had truly been born a peasant in ancient China, becoming emperor would have been almost impossible. Most people spent their lives working the fields. Their names disappeared with time. That is why this journey is extraordinary. The miracle was never becoming emperor. The miracle was that someone born with nothing could endure enough hardship to change the fate of millions. You began with empty hands and ended with an empire beneath your rule. But during that journey, you had to decide what kind of person you would become. Because the true story of ancient China is not only about reaching the top, it is about how much humanity you can keep while climbing there.